3 sinister true Blackout horror tales revealed. Haunted episodes of unexplained terror. Lisa crouched in her small living room, the thrum of a thunderstorm outside swirling into the darkness of their home. The flickering candle she lit cast long, monstrous shadows that twisted and curled along the walls. Chloe's wide eyes reflected the dim light, filled with a mix of fear and curiosity. Just as evening settled, the power had jolted out, diving them into a suffocating blackness. "I heard the lantern man comes during storms," Lisa whispered, tightening her grip on her daughter's small hand, her voice trembling as if the mention of the creature could summon him right outside their door. The lantern man, with his glowing lantern in the saturated night, targeted families like theirs, preying on fear and vulnerability. Outside, the storm raged, rain hammering against the window like hands frantically pleading to be let in. Every crack of thunder seemed to echo stories from the neighborhood, stories of children disappearing, of eyes lurking in the shadows. Tension coiled like a serpent in Lisa's stomach as the scratching noise at the door pierced through the wall of anxiety she built. "Mommy, let me in." A familiar voice beckoned, grating and eerie. It was Mr. Hargrave, the neighbor with the garden gnome collection, the kind man whose smile should have brought comfort. But an unease pricked at Lisa's heart, each second stretching into an eternity. "Isn't he just Mr. Hargrave?" Chloe whispered, fingers curling around her teddy bear. But all Lisa could picture were harsh details of the last neighborhood meeting, missing pets, whispered warnings, and tight-lipped parents. "Stay close, Chloe," she directed, heart racing. They peered through the condensation-covered glass. The shadow of Mr. Hargrave loomed large, his outstretched hand stopping at the door, a warped reflection of safety. Suddenly, the scratching intensified, the sound morphing into something primal, like a claw raking across the wood. Fear gripped Lisa's heart like a vice, but the feeling was undeniable. This wasn't just a storm. It was a storm of terror. With adrenaline sparking through her veins, she grabbed Chloe's small backpack. "Get your things. We're leaving." The wind shrieked outside as rain lashed against the walls, threatening to break every sturdy barrier around them. "Mommy!" Chloe cried, panic chasing tears down her cheeks. But there was no time. As they bolted from the fortified confines of their home, gusts of wind and cold sheets of rain wrapped around them like an embrace of dread, dragging them into the night. But as they stumbled through the chaos of dark alleys in their usually safe suburb, something watched from the shadows, eyes glimmering with an unsettling awareness. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue." As they darted deeper into the storm, Lisa's mind raced. Suddenly, her foot caught on something unseen, and they tumbled into a broken section of the shopping district that was long past its prime. Shadows darted in the downpour, mockingly repeating Mr. Hargrave's call, echoing through the shattered remnants of their community. With rising horror, Lisa looked over her shoulder. The lantern man's light flickered in the distance, an unsettling glow piercing the storm's veil. She gripped Chloe tighter, the momentum of desperation pushing them onward as the realization hit, a trickle of dread blooming into a torrent. Were they running from safety or into it? The storm howled madly as the lantern swayed, the glimmering light illuminating dark secrets in the familiar dark, and just ahead a choice bloomed before her. Confront the lurking threat, step back into the shadows of familiarity, or flee their home entirely into an unsure night. The choices blurred, and dread pooled within her. She turned back, staring into the shadowy streets, and the light flickered again, beckoning like an old friend or a sinister foe. Would this night reveal the monster hiding behind the mask of familiarity? The darkness was overwhelming, a heavy blanket pressing down as Lisa and Chloe stumbled through the erratic streets. The rain cascaded down in torrents, blurring the edges of reality. Chloe's small hand gripped her mother's tightly, trembling with the tremors of fear. "Mommy, it's too dark," she whimpered, her voice swallowed by the storm. "Just keep moving," Lisa replied, her own heart racing. The lantern man's light loomed over them, an ethereal glow caught between fear and comfort. Shadows flickered and danced, taunting them with every move they made. Lisa's mind spiraled. Was it truly a friend or a hidden predator, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? The glow beckoned like a double-edged sword. She longed to find shelter, to feel the weight of security wrap around them. But the stories were heavy on her mind, each a shackle binding her to the fear of the unknown. What if it's not just him? Chloe's words sliced through Lisa's thoughts, each syllable laced with innocent dread. Suddenly, a startling crash sent a jolt through Lisa. A nearby storefront window shattered inward, shards glinting like dangerous stars in the faint light. The sound echoed, drawing shadows closer, whispering secrets that danced just beyond the reach of her understanding. "Run, Chloe," she commanded. They bolted into an alley, the narrow space swallowing them whole. The howling storm drowned out their frantic breaths. But from behind, the guttural chuckle of the lantern man surfaced, rumbling low and sinister. "Look, Mommy, there." Chloe pointed, her voice quivering. Heavy footsteps splashed through the rain, hunting. Lisa's eyes strained to penetrate the darkness. Just ahead, a flickering neon sign buzzed from a derelict diner, a beacon in the enveloping dark. "This way." She pulled Chloe toward it, limbs shaking, heart thudding like a war drum. Inside, the diner reeked of mildew and neglect. The faint light buzzed overhead, casting a sickly glow over the empty booths. Broken plates lay scattered on the floor, remnants of chaos from a forgotten time. Lisa guided them to a booth in the far corner, the shadows curving around them like hungry beasts. Chloe curled into her mother's side, trying to hide from the darkness beyond the diner. "What are we going to do? Is he coming for us?" The door creaked ominously, and Lisa's fear strung tight like a bow. Wind whistled through the cracks, and the lantern man's laughter twisted around her. An unholy serenade that sent chills down her spine. "We hide," she whispered, panic clenching her throat. "We wait for the storm to pass." As they huddled in silence, they heard something shuffle in the kitchen. A clang echoed, and Lisa's stomach twisted like a knot. "Stay still, Chloe." She could feel hot breath against her skin, the air turning thick and oppressive. But the world beyond the diner felt alive. Eyes roamed the shadows, hungry and watchful. The storm outside began to diminish, yet the echo of the lantern man's laughter lingered, wrapping around them like a fog of dread. Suddenly, the door swung wide, and rain rushed in, bringing with it a silhouette backlit by the fading light. The unmistakable figure of Mr. Hargrave stepped inside, soaked to the bone, but a twisted grin painted across his face. "Lisa, Chloe," he rasped, his voice unsettlingly calm. "What are you doing here?" Lisa's breath hitched. It didn't feel like a question. It felt like a trap closing in. "Mommy," Chloe whimpered again, clutching tighter to her mother's arm. In that instant, Lisa knew their hiding place had been found. But the worst terror was yet to come. As the figure stepped forward, the air thickened, and she realized something that sent a shockwave of dread through her. What if Mr. Hargrave had always been the lantern man? Terror spiraled as decisions loomed in the suffocating gloom. What was it going to take to survive this night? The shadows whispered their chilling secrets, tempting her to answer, to confront what lay within. The chill of reality settled deep in her bones as she edged backward, panic and resolve crashing together. But just as she turned to run, in the reflection of the broken diner window, she saw flickering lights rising behind the figure, and it wasn't the storm. "What are those?" Chloe gasped, eyes wide with terror. In an instant, Lisa faced a choice: escape, or unveil the truth hiding in the murky depths of this night. Outside, the chorus of thunder rumbled ominously as her heart raced. Behind her, the storm wasn't finished yet. It was just beginning. The air shifted, heavy with anticipation. The flickering lights outside danced erratically, casting ominous shadows that contorted across the cracked walls of the diner. Lisa's pulse quickened as she tried to read the look on Mr. Hargrave's face. That twisted grin widened, revealing teeth slick with some unexplainable hunger. "What are you doing here?" he repeated, slow and deliberate. The question hung heavy, like the dense fog that cloaked the night outside, swallowing her courage. "You shouldn't have come back." "Back?" Lisa echoed, but even as she spoke, the words felt poisoned. She didn't remember ever being here. The diner, the rain, the lantern man. It all felt familiar and wrong all at once. "Mommy!" Chloe's trembling voice pulled Lisa from her thoughts. The girlish eyes were darting past Hargrave, wide with fear, her innocent gaze fixating on something that lurked just beyond the window. Lisa turned, and her heart fell into a chasm of dread. The faint, shimmering lights swirled wildly outside, now morphing into shapes that were anything but human. Silhouettes hunched low, moving in sync like marionettes on invisible strings. The world outside had become a circus of horrors. "No!" Heart racing, Lisa spun to Hargrave. "What did you do? What are those things?" His laughter, low and guttural, rolled through the diner like an approaching storm. "They're here for you. You came back, didn't you? Just like the others." "Others?" Chloe's voice broke through as she buried her face into her mother's side, clutching her more tightly. "Yes." The word dripped from Hargrave's lips like poison. "They never really left. They just changed." Each word he spoke struck Lisa like icy daggers. The faint light flickered again, casting a ghastly pallor over his features. "You can either stay and join the feast or run out there and become one of them." Lisa felt a wave of nausea. "You're insane," she spat, backing away further into the corner booth. But the walls of the diner felt like they were closing in. With a swift movement, Hargrave pointed towards the door. "Too late to run, girl." The lights outside flared brighter, illuminating the monstrosities waiting hungrily in the rain-soaked night. They writhed and twisted, the shadows they cast elongated into grotesque figures, their whispers blending into an unholy choir. "You shouldn't have waited for the storm to pass." Lisa's thoughts raced. She had to think of something, anything. "Chloe," she whispered, "listen to me. We need to move no matter what." But as she moved to grab Chloe's hand, the diner's front door swung open wide, rattling against the wall. Wind howled through, carrying the terrible laughter of the lantern man and his minions with it. "Leave, then," Hargrave taunted, his eyes glinting like cold steel. "But remember, once you step outside, there's no coming back. It's not just the storm you have to fear." The shadows crept closer, and Lisa could feel their icy breath against her skin. The terrible choice loomed. Confront the horrors inside or take her chances with the unknown. "Mommy, I don't want to go out there," Chloe whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. Terror clawed at Lisa's throat. "I know, baby, but we can't stay here. We need to be brave." Just as they bolted for the door, a deafening crash echoed in the diner. The flickering lights surged violently, and with them, the shadows surged forward, howling as if alive. "Run!" she screamed, dragging Chloe behind her as they burst into the storm once more. But the rain fell heavier now, thick and viscous like tar. The laughter swelled around them, as if the night was alive with malevolence. And somewhere, deep in the darkness, lay the promise of something worse than they had ever encountered. As they plunged into the blackness, Lisa's heart raced with a chilling thought: what if the lantern man was watching? What if he was waiting for them to make a mistake? "Mommy!" Chloe cried, her small voice barely rising above the chaos. "I don't want to be here." In that moment of desperation, the shadows shifted closer, swirling like a living nightmare. Lisa could feel their grasp tightening around her soul. "Trust me," she yelled, not entirely sure what lay ahead, but knowing they had to keep moving. They raced ahead into a darkness thicker than before, desperately trying to escape. But the storm wasn't just a backdrop anymore. It was a living entity, pulsing with sinister intent, and the lantern man's laughter blended with the echoes of the past. And just as they turned a corner, Lisa saw it, an ominous glow flickering in the distance. "What now?" she whispered, her blood running cold. The shadowy whispers grew louder around them, taunting her with a haunting promise. This was only the beginning, but the true horror was yet to reveal itself. What would they find in that flickering light? The storm answered with a crack of thunder that seemed to laugh along with the whispers, sending Lisa's heart spiraling into terror. They had to move. There was no going back now. Lisa's breath came in jagged gasps as they stumbled toward the source of the flickering glow. Each step felt weighted, as if the very ground beneath her was conspiring against them. Chloe clung to her leg, fear painted stark across her small face, her wide eyes glistening with terror and confusion. "Mommy, what is that?" Chloe's voice cracked. "I don't know, sweetie." But deep down, a gnawing suspicion tugged at her heart. Whatever awaited them ahead, it was not just a light. It was a beacon for the darkness. The glow pulsated, rhythmic and hypnotic, partly hidden behind the thick curtain of falling rain. Each flash illuminated fleeting images of what looked like twisted figures dancing in the downpour. The din of their laughter swirled with the wind, chilling Lisa to the bone. As they drew closer, she caught sight of an encroaching crowd of shadows, formed from the remnants of lost souls caught in the lantern man's web. They moved with joyless fervor, their eyes empty voids, mouths wide in perpetual screams or laughter. It was impossible to tell which. "Mommy," Chloe whimpered, tugging at her. "I don't want to go closer." "I know, baby. Just hold on tight." Lisa's voice trembled, even as she felt a sick urge to move toward that glow. Something sinister beckoned her, whispering promises of knowledge, power, maybe even escape from the horrors that haunted them. With staggering resolve, Lisa forged ahead, heart racing, deciding they had to confront whatever fate awaited. The shadows drew nearer, their laughter now louder, almost an insistent chant that drilled into her skull. Join us," echoed the chorus, a melodious siren call that turned her insides ice cold. Suddenly, a flash of white light erupted before them, momentarily blinding them. Lisa shielded Chloe from the brilliance, but it was the shrill cacophony of voices that stole her breath away. 1,000 lost souls, all crying out, all reaching for her. "Mommy, please," Chloe screamed, pulling away. The girl's instinct was stronger than Lisa's burgeoning obsession, and her fear cut through the echoing madness with clarity. Just as the light faded, something surged from it, a figure, draped in luminescent shrouds that danced like liquid fire, emerging from the glow. It moved toward them, eyes gleaming with an unnatural light. "Finally, you've come," the lantern man grows impatient. The voice was soft, almost seductive. Lisa's stomach turned as she tried to understand what she was seeing. What are you?" "Your salvation," it replied, reaching a shimmering hand toward Lisa. She felt its warmth pierce through her fear, the promise of safety. But then, all at once, Chloe screamed, breaking the spell. "No, Mommy, please, don't." A surge of instinct kicked in. Without thinking, Lisa grabbed Chloe and turned to flee, but it felt like running through molasses. The very air thickened around her, and shadows lunged, clawing at her. "Foolish choice," the figure whispered, its voice stretching like a dark thread entwining itself around her mind. As they stumbled backward into the storm's tempest, the laughter crescendoed, an ominous symphony promising torment. Rain lashed against them as she pulled Chloe alongside, racing toward the featureless expanse of darkness. Only the grotesque laughter followed, echoing taunts chasing them through the gloom. "Mommy, I want to go home," Chloe sobbed, her voice now a fragile plea, each word tearing at Lisa's heart. "What if we can't?" Lisa's mind raced. Could they really escape this nightmare? The shadows crawled closer, feeding off fear. And then a blinding flash illuminated everything. In that moment, she caught the glint of something metallic beneath the rising floodwater. A hoard of old, discarded tokens. "Chloe, look," Lisa shouted, desperation fueling her. "We can use those." What had once been a game of survival was now a gamble for life. As they dove toward the glimmer of hope, the shadows hissed in frustration behind them. But just as they reached it, a great surge from the depths made the tokens vanish, swallowed back by the wrath of the storm. No, Lisa cried, panic roaring in her throat. But the storm raged on, relentless. Did they dare confront whatever dwelled in the heart of that glowing light? Or would they be consumed by the shadows surrounding them? The question thundered in her mind. And then, from the edge of the light, a voice whispered, "Come to me, come home." Lisa's heart raced. If they turned back now, they might find safety in the shadows if it still existed. The choice before them was dire, and the price of each path unknown. What lay beyond the light? Could they truly escape, or was that figure their only hope? As the storm roared louder, the shadows crept closer, fixing their hungry gaze on two souls desperate for survival. The end of their journey was more uncertain than ever. Yet still, the voice sung sweetly. Was it salvation or the harbinger of doom? The air thickened, suffocating in its intensity, as Lisa felt the darkness closing in, wrapping itself around them like cold fog. "We have to go," she shouted, her voice slicing through the cacophony of laughter and whispers. Chloe clung tightly to her mother, eyes wide, searching for a glimmer of hope in the endless gloom. The glowing figure shifted closer, its illuminated form a startling contrast against the relentless night. "You can't run," it crooned, its voice dripping with a twisted sense of familiarity, like a siren's song made of dread. "Every path leads back to me, back to your true desire." Each word tugged at Lisa, urging her forward, as if the shadows were softening the edges of her fear. "Don't listen," Lisa screamed, trying to sever the pull of its gaze. She felt dizzy, like standing on the edge of a cliff, the ground beneath swaying. "We need to find a way out." But the laughter intensified, echoing in her bones, wrapping around her thoughts. "Stay with us, be one of us." The shadows moved closer, grotesque shapes shifting into almost human forms, reaching for them with fingers like tendrils, eager to pull them into darkness. She turned away, vision blurred by rain and fear, desperate to forge her way through the unfamiliar terrain. With every moment, the flashes of light from the figure threatened to ensnare her thoughts, promising understanding, a way out of the chaos that had engulfed them since the night began. "Mommy, what do we do?" Chloe's voice cracked, panic radiating from her small frame. "Focus on me," Lisa replied fiercely, grasping her daughter's hand tighter, the warmth of her small fingers grounding her in this storm of terror. "We can't let them take us." But the shadows twisted, morphing, growing more menacing with each step they took. They darted around Lisa and Chloe, laughter now derisive, filling the rain-soaked air with a malevolent energy. Just as hope began to waver, another flash illuminated a small wooden bridge, rickety but untouched by the surrounding chaos. It spanned a dark, churning river snaking through the shadows, its water swirling like dark thoughts. "There," Lisa urged, heart pounding with renewed vigor. "Let us go." They raced toward the bridge, Lisa's legs feeling as though they were moving through thick syrup. The shadows surged behind them, their cacophony drowning out Chloe's breathless cries. With every step, an unseen force seemed to claw at her back, urging her to surrender to the darkness. Reaching the edge, Lisa hesitated, glancing over her shoulder. The figure had stopped, shimmering with an otherworldly glow, eyes glinting like shards of ice. It stretched out its hand. "Join us, Lisa. You can't escape your fate." "No," she screamed, and yanked Chloe toward the bridge. The splintered wood creaked under their weight as they rushed across, the sound like bones cracking in the silence. But the shadows were relentless, and laughter bubbled into manic howls that shook the very ground. They reached the center, feeling momentarily safe, glancing back. The figure stood on the riverbank, surrounded by the mass of swirling souls. It raised its arms, and with a low chant, the shadows lashed out, sending tendrils toward the bridge. "Mommy, they're coming," Chloe cried, tearing at Lisa's heart. "Hold on," Lisa shouted. They grasped the slats of the bridge, its stability faltering beneath the onslaught of shadows. The air electrified, a storm of energy. The shadows surged forward, more alive than ever, screeching that seductive promise. Feel your power, join us. Lisa's breath quickened as she felt the bridge begin to sway. Memories flashed through her mind, her home. Chloe's laughter, love and safety wrapping around her like a warm blanket. I want tea, let them take you. Suddenly, an explosion of light erupted from the bank, blinding. Lisa covered her eyes, the noise deafening. Behind the flash, she felt the ground shift, the bridge beginning to collapse. Mommy! No! Chloe shrieked, but Lisa could do nothing but hold on, feeling the darkness chase them. Hungry, relentless. Just as it seemed they would fall, a force yanked at them, pulling, twisting them back into the storm. Is this the end? Lisa thought, as time slowed, the shadows stretching, reaching to consume all. What awaits on the other side? The figure screamed, its promise echoing in the chaos as the light enveloped them, dragging them into the unknown. The storm waned, leaving a haunting stillness. What new horrors would they face next? What consequence awaited now that the lantern man had marked them? The blinding light swallowed them whole, and with an ear-splitting crack, they found themselves in a stark new landscape. Gone was the twisted, shadowy realm they fled. Instead, they stood at the edge of a deserted carnival, its colors muted under a pallid moon. Distant laughter rang out, curdled and warped. The bright, cheerful music of carnival games bounced off the cold air, mocking their escape. Where are we? Chloe whispered, looking up at Lisa with eyes wide, brimming with fear. I don't know, Lisa stammered, her heart racing. She tried to shake off the dread that was creeping back in like the shadows they had just escaped. The carnival looked abandoned, yet the noise persisted, an alluring siren call tugging at the edges of her sanity. Mommy, let us go home, Chloe said, pulling at her mother's sleeve. But Lisa was drawn to the swirl of colors and the echoing laughter. It was intoxicating, like a quick fix to all her fears. No, she snapped, fighting back the urge to step forward. We can't go toward the sound. Chloe nodded reluctantly, but Lisa could see the temptation flickering in her eyes. Let us find a way through the carnival, Lisa said, her voice trembling. We need to keep moving. They made their way toward the rusted entrance gates, which creaked ominously as they pushed through. The air was thick with the smell of stale popcorn and something foul like decay. Each step sounded heavy, like footsteps on a grave. A fortune teller's tent loomed to their left, flaps fluttering as if welcoming them in. Lisa felt an unsettling pull. She shook her head, willing herself to focus. Mommy. Chloe's voice broke through her trance. Can we see what's in there? No. Lisa snapped again, harsher this time, but instantly regretted raising her voice. Chloe, we need to stick to the path. She scanned the carnival, anxiety tightening her chest. From the shadows emerged a tall figure dressed in a ragged clown suit, her face hidden beneath a cracked porcelain mask that displayed an eerie grin. It tilted its head once, slowly, as if sizing them up. Welcome, it sang, voice sweet yet insidiously sharp. What brings you to our harvest of souls? Lisa's breath caught. The shadows had not vanished. They had only shifted forms. Leave us alone, she shouted, pulling Chloe closer. The clown's laughter erupted, a hollow sound that echoed through the night. It stepped closer, and from its open palms, bright tendrils of light began to swirl. Stay with us. Play a game and you might win a way back home. No! Lisa yelled again, hate and fear mixing as she backed away. We're not playing anything. But before she could turn, the laughter swelled, rising into a cacophony of voices, all whispering secrets and promises. It was the same seductive call they had just escaped, a nightmare trying to ensnare them once more. I can give you what you want, the clown hissed. I can promise safety. I can take you home. Home. The word dripped with comfort, but Lisa remembered the figure from the riverbank, the darkness that had sought to claim her. Stay away. Her vision narrowed as the shadows lengthened, creeping toward both of them, a dark tide rising. Chloe's grip tightened around her hand, nails digging in with fear, but they were out of options. There was no escape here. Mommy? I'm scared. Chloe whimpered, tears glistening on her cheeks. Me too, Lisa admitted, panic clawing at her throat. They had come too far, survived too much to let this creature take them now. They needed a plan, and quickly. Just then, a flicker of movement caught Lisa's eye, a path lined with flickering streetlights leading to a darkened funhouse at the far end. "We can try there," she urged with a shaky breath, pulling Chloe toward it. As they ran, the laughter intensified, but so did the flashing lights. The distorted reflections taunted them from the mirror-lined entrance. Lisa felt the air grow heavy with expectancy, like the last breath before a storm. "Do you think it'll be safe?" Chloe asked, glancing nervously behind them. Lisa hesitated. "I don't know. But it's the only chance we have." Just as they reached the door, a bone-chilling scream erupted behind them, cutting through the night like a knife. They turned back, and in that fleeting moment, the clown was gone, but its laughter lingered, echoing through the carnival, a reminder of the darkness that sought to reclaim them. "Run!" Lisa shouted, dragging Chloe inside. The funhouse swallowed them into a world of distorted truths. Each step was a gamble, and as the door creaked shut, they knew the shadows would follow. What horrors lay within, waiting to ensnare them in their twisted maze? Would they ever escape the grasp of the Lantern Man's realm? Or would this funhouse become their eternal prison? Inside the funhouse, the air was thick and heavy, almost like breathing syrup. Lisa took a moment to catch her breath, her heart pounding like a drum. The distorted mirrors reflected twisted, monstrous versions of herself and Chloe, bending their bodies into grotesque shapes. It was a nightmare come to life. "Mommy, I don't like this," Chloe whimpered, clutching her mother's hand tightly. "I know, baby," Lisa whispered, scanning their surroundings. "But we have to keep moving." The path ahead was lined with flickering, buzzing lights that cast long shadows across the cracked floor. Each step echoed in the silence, as if the whole funhouse was listening. Then, without warning, the laughter returned, louder and more twisted, crawled into their ears, worming its way into their minds. Chloe jumped, her grip tightening. "Where is it coming from?" she asked, eyes darting around. "Stay close to me," Lisa commanded, forcing herself to remain calm. They had to find an exit, but every direction looked the same, a maddening maze of mirrors and dark corners. Suddenly, the laughter morphed into a voice, low and menacing. "You can't escape. There are games to be played, choices to be made." Lisa felt her stomach drop. Her heart raced as they moved deeper into the hall of mirrors. Images of her past, their life before this chaos, flashed like a slideshow behind the glass. Friends laughing, holidays spent in joy, and the mundane moments that now felt tainted. "Mommy!" Chloe cried out, pointing. "Look!" A figure was emerging from the shadows, its face flickering as if trying to solidify. It wore the same cracked clown mask, grinning wider than before. The air grew cold, and Lisa's breath quickened. "Join us. We have games that can't be lost." It sang, swaying as if caught in a trance. It beckoned them with long, painted fingers, and Lisa felt an inexplicable urge to step forward, to approach the figure that promised safety and ease. "No," she shouted, shaking her head violently. "Chloe, we can't listen." She pulled Chloe backward, nearly tripping over her own feet as the whims of the clown's melody wrapped around them. Lisa's pulse thundered in her ears. The cold fingers of fear gripped her heart. The clown's eyes glimmered with something dark, a hunger that made Lisa's skin crawl. "Do you want to play a game?" it taunted, a sinister smile stretching its lips into an impossible length. "Just one little game, and you might have a chance." "No, we refuse," Lisa cried, dragging Chloe through the maze. They stumbled through the disorienting mirrors, squinting against the flickering lights that made it hard to tell where the path led. But the laughter grew louder, surrounding them, vibrating within their bones. Voices scratched at the edges of Lisa's mind, echoing her deepest fears. "You'll never escape. You will forever be part of the show." In a panic, Lisa turned to a row of mirrors that seemed more coherent than the others. "Chloe, look for an exit. We can't let it catch us." Chloe nodded, her terror-flooded eyes darting to and fro, searching frantically. As they veered around a corner, A door appeared, its frame splattered with what looked alarmingly like dried blood. It offered a flicker of hope. "Over there," Chloe shouted, pulling Lisa toward the ominous door. But the laughter intensified, and the clown's voice became a shriek. "Players cannot escape." The mirrors warped as the walls closed in, and the interior twisted into a swirling vortex. Just as they reached the door, a bone-chilling wind howled through the funhouse, rattling the very foundations. The lights flickered and dimmed. Shadows danced wildly, and for a heart-stopping moment, everything went dark. Then, silence, an unsettling stillness enveloped them as they stood before the unyielding door. What lay beyond? The chance of safety or worse? "Mommy, I'm scared." Chloe's whisper broke through the quiet. Taking a deep breath, Lisa steeled her resolve. "Stay close. No matter what, we push through together." As she grasped the doorknob, its cold metal bit into her palm. The mirrors around them began to crack, spider-webbing fragments of fear. Did the funhouse itself sense their intention to flee? With all her strength, Lisa twisted the knob. What awaited them on the other side? Would it be an escape from the clutches of the clown and its games, or something far more terrifying? The door creaked open with a shudder that echoed like a whispered warning. A sudden rush of stale air hit Lisa and Chloe, cold enough to pinch their skin. Beyond the threshold lay a dimly lit corridor, longer and darker than anything they had faced. The walls were lined with peeling wallpaper. Its once bright colors faded into a grim hue that felt like decay. "Is it safe?" Chloe's voice trembled, barely above a whisper. "No, but we have to go." Lisa pulled her daughter forward, stepping into the oppressive dark. Each footfall felt like a countdown ticking away precious seconds as she braced herself for whatever awaited them. They moved deeper into the maze. The laughter of the clown, now a distant echo, slowly faded into something more sinister, a soft, throaty humming. Tension coiled in the air, wrapping around Lisa's lungs, making it hard to breathe. The corridor seemed to stretch infinitely, the flickering lights guiding them toward a sinister unknown. Then, with a thudding heart, Lisa noticed figures in the shadows at the far end. Silhouettes stood frozen, facing the wall as if waiting for their turn to play. "Mommy, look!" Chloe cried, pointing. "Are they playing?" Lisa squinted as the figures came into focus. They weren't playing at all. Their faces were blank and expressionless, eyes hollow, as if their souls had been drained away. Just as she recognized the dangerous illusion, Chloe's small voice broke the spell. "They look sad, turn around." Lisa snapped, panic surging through her veins. They couldn't stop to ponder. They needed an escape. But Chloe was transfixed, her small feet unwilling to move. "Mommy," she started, voice quaking, "maybe they can help us?" "No, they're trapped." Lisa yanked at her daughter's arm, and just as fingers of ice gripped around Chloe's wrist, the humming morphed into a cacophony of jarring laughter, reverberating off the walls, twisting into a chaotic symphony. "Stay away," Lisa shouted, yanking Chloe back just as one of the figures turned. Its face, gaunt and rimmed with shadows, was a horror show, a grotesque imitation of laughter painted in shades of despair. "Join us," it wheezed, stretching its cracked lips into a gaping smile, showcasing teeth that resembled jagged tombstones. "We can play forever." The images of those figures melded into the nightmare, their laughter echoing sharper than before, as if taunting their plight. Lisa's heart raced as a heavy fog began to seep into the corridor, wrapping around them like chains. "Run!" she screamed, grabbing Chloe with all her might. They bolted down the corridor, racing against the deepening shadows that seemed to gnash at their heels. Every turn, every corner, felt like an invitation to join the wailing chorus of lost souls. And they ran until they reached a second door, splintered and barely hanging on its hinges. "Do we go in?" Chloe's breath came in gasps, doubt etched across her face. "There's no other choice. We can't go back." Lisa pushed the door open. Air rushed in a thick, acrid scent mingling with an unseen malevolence. Beyond lay a hall filled with wax figures, frozen in states of horror, some clutching their heads, others screaming silently. A chilling realization sank in. They were not figures at all, but the remnants of those who had succumbed to the clown's games. In the corner of the room, a dim light flickered, revealing a strange box engraved with twisted symbols. Pulsated softly, as if alive. Lisa's instincts screamed that it was important, maybe even their way to fight back against the clown. "I see something," Chloe squeaked, drawing nearer. But the laughter crescendoed, filling the air with an inescapable dread, like fingers curling around their throats. They weren't safe yet. Shadows moved beyond the flickering light, creeping closer, hungry for more players. "Chloe, stay back," Lisa shouted, her heart pounding like a war drum. As the figures began to shift, looming over them like dark clouds, Lisa realized the true horror. They had entered the heart of the funhouse, where the clown waited, and where choices would be made, forever altering their fates. "Mommy, what do we do?" Chloe's voice trembled, fear spilling over behind her sweet innocence. As they stood frozen in fear, the sound of the door slamming shut behind them echoed like a finality. There was no turning back. What awaited them inside this twisted chamber filled with lost souls? Lisa swallowed hard as shadows leaped forward. They had entered the game, and the rules were about to change. Would they become part of the show? Or could they find a way to break free? The laughter erupted, spiraling into madness. What choice would they have to make? The air felt heavier, thick with despair. The flickering light from the strange box cast erratic shadows on the walls, making them dance like trapped souls. Lisa yanked Chloe closer, her heart racing. The laughter erupted again, crackling with an electrifying madness that pierced through the suffocating darkness. "Mommy?" Chloe whimpered, clutching Lisa's hand, her innocent eyes wide with terror. "What is that?" "Just stay by me," Lisa urged, her voice steady despite the churning dread in her stomach. The figures surrounding them began to twitch, as if awakening from long slumbers, their hollow eyes fixated on the box. "Why are they staring?" Chloe asked. "I don't know," Lisa muttered, trying to suppress her panic. "But we need to find a way out. Now." They edged toward the box, its engraved symbols pulsing with a deep, ominous glow. Inscribed in a language Lisa couldn't understand, the markings seemed to pulse in time with the laughter, resonating with an eerie harmony. "Maybe it's a key," Chloe whispered, taking a cautious step forward. As she reached for it, the floor beneath them shuddered. Lisa instinctively pulled Chloe back, just as a rumbling laughter swelled around them, filling the space with a dark, suffocating chaos that wrapped around their throats. "No, you should never touch what you don't understand," a voice croaked from behind them. It slithered through the air like a serpent, sending a chill down their spines. Lisa turned, her breath catching in her throat as she recognized one of the figures. Its face twisted with a grotesque smile, eyes gleaming with a malevolent light. "You're just in time for the game, aren't you? Let us go," Lisa shouted, desperation fueling her voice. "Go?" The figure laughed. It was a sound that seemed to siphon the very warmth from the room. "You can't leave. Not until you play." Chloe pressed closer to Lisa, fear emanating from her small frame. "Mommy, I'm scared." The shadows flickered and twisted, revealing other figures behind them, ones that looked more solid, dressed in tattered clothes and blank looks, eyes following the movements, mouths forming silent screams. They swayed in unnerving unison, like marionettes in the hands of a wretched puppeteer. "Choose," the figure rasped, pointing an elongated finger toward the box. "Choose your fate. The box holds the truth, a path to freedom or eternal playtime, but you must decide." Lisa's mind raced. What truth did the box hold? Would it save them from this horror, or plunge them deeper into despair? She felt that familiar twist of dread coil in her gut. If they chose wrong, it might mean becoming like the figures surrounding them, trapped in an endless cycle of torment. "Mommy, I think we should go for it." Chloe's small voice trembled with determination. "It might help us." "No," Lisa snapped, fear spilling out in desperation once again. "We can't just." But before she could finish, the box pulsed angrily, sending out a wave of energy that knocked them both backward. Chloe tumbled, and Lisa caught her just in time. The laughter crescendoed to a deafening roar, drowning out her thoughts, seemingly joining forces with the shadows that now whispered cruel secrets. Make a choice, the figure hissed, stepping closer, its breath icy against Lisa's skin. Or join us. Lisa's mind boiled over with fear, anger, and deep maternal instinct. Surrounded by shadows and lost souls, she had to act. But what choice would lead to escape? Was the key in the box really a path to freedom, or another trap steeped in the clown's malicious design? As time seemed to stretch, the laughter pulsed, blending with the hushed whispers of the figures looming behind them. Lisa took a breath, steadying herself against the torrent of dread. The decision loomed above her, and the shadows grew restless. "Mommy, we have to choose now," Chloe cried, her voice edging on panic. The room darkened even further, the malevolent figures tightening their circle, closing in like a wolf pack ready to pounce. With every second that slipped away, Lisa realized they didn't have much time left. The game was far from over, and its rules were unclear. "What are we going to do?" she murmured, her heart pounding in sync with the escalating madness around them. One final look at Chloe's terrified face ripped through her. The choice could change everything. Would they dare to reach for the box? Or was the darkness slowly claiming them? Lisa's heart raced as she prepared to confront whatever horrors awaited them, knowing that the only way out was through the looming chaos ahead. The air hung thick, saturated with fear as Lisa grasped Chloe's hand tighter. The figure before them pulsed with menace, shadows thrumming like live wires. "Make a choice," it howled, a chorus of laughter circling them like vultures. "Think, Lisa. We need a plan," she reminded herself. The glowing box was their only potential salvation, but the abyss of unknown consequences loomed large. "Chloe, if we touch it and nothing happens, we've still got a chance, right?" Chloe's eyes glistened with fear yet shone with a flicker of hope. "Right? But what if it's a trick? I know, we can't trust it. But if we don't try, if we don't do something, we'll end up like them." Lisa gestured toward the dwindling figures, trapped in their own silent screams. The laughter grew more intense, an overwhelming din that felt like chains wrapping tightly around her chest. "Mommy," Chloe whispered, "they're so sad. Look at me. We will not end up like them. We matter." Taking a breath, Lisa stepped forward, forcing herself toward the box that thrummed with uncertainty. Every fiber of her being screamed in protest, but against the rising tide of laughter and shadows, she knew this was the only way. "On three, we touch it," she said, voice steadying as she locked eyes with Chloe. 1, 2, 3. They reached out together. The moment their fingertips brushed against the cold surface, an explosion of light engulfed them. Instead of blinding, the brightness pierced through the oppressive darkness, washing over the figures in a tidal wave of warmth. Lisa felt energy crackling around her fingers as the shadows screamed and recoiled, retreating from the radiant touch. "We did it," Chloe cheered, her voice ringing clear against the fading laughter. "No, stay focused." "What is it?" Lisa demanded, eyes darting around, feeling tethered between two worlds as the energy enveloped them. The symbols from the box shifted in kaleidoscopic patterns, awakening something deep within her, a memory, a promise of power. The box emitted a low hum, the pulsing green light blossoming then dimming, casting silhouettes across the room, figures she recognized. Lisa's heart sank, a tingle of hope mixing with sorrow. It was everyone she had loved, friends from her past, reminding her of happier times, but now trapped among the shadows. "Mommy, look at them." Chloe's voice quivered with emotion. A faint glimmer of recognition flickered among the shadowy forms, eyes pleading for liberation. "No," Lisa shouted, feeling desperation claw at her throat. "They need our help. They're calling for us." Then the swirling light surged upward, creating an opening in the funhouse walls, spilling a path toward the forgotten tunes of innocence they once knew. "What will you choose?" The disembodied voice echoed, the shadows recoiling, exposed to a power they feared. The decision was upon them: free the trapped souls or run toward the safety of the light. Lisa felt torn, her heart racing. "Chloe, we can't leave them. I can't just walk away." Not after everything we've seen. But what if we don't make it back? Chloe pleaded, her small voice trembling with fear. Listen to me. Lisa knelt down to meet her daughter's gaze, heart heavy with pride and terror. I won't let anything happen to you. Not now, not ever. We can do this together. With every ounce of bravery she possessed, Lisa reached out for the box once more and spoke clearly. We choose to fight for them. A radiant pulse burst forth from the box, connecting with every soul entwined in the darkness. Light surged throughout the funhouse, chasing shadows back to their corners. Figures began to emerge, eyes flickering to life with recognition and warmth a past reclaimed. Suddenly the truth thrummed through Lisa's veins. It was her love, her unyielding memory of those moments stitched together by laughter, kindness, and resilience that broke the bonds of horror surrounding them. Run! Lisa shouted to Chloe, pulling her back as the shadows writhed, twisting in retaliation. In a reckless, cathartic surge of strength, Lisa and Chloe dashed toward the opening their escape route turned. Pathway of possibility. The laughter shrieked, the shadows surging behind them desperate to cling, yearning to see them falter. Together, they broke through the barrier, a blinding light washing over them as they dashed past the threshold, closing it behind them with a finality that echoed like thunder in the stillness. The carnival's haunting cacophony faded, the darkness receding in the rearview mirror. They found themselves standing in their own familiar living room, the storm now a distant memory. Rain dripped softly against the window, peppering reminders of that dark night. Mommy? Chloe's voice was small, but the weight of terror had lifted. We escaped. Yeah, sweet girl. We did, Lisa replied, folding her daughter into her arms tightly, tears of relief blurring her vision. But even as they held one another, flickering shadows danced just beyond the window's edge, lingering somewhere in the dark. Mommy? Chloe's innocent question pulled Lisa from her thoughts. Will they be okay? Lisa bit her lip, glancing toward the darkness. I don't know, baby, but we will always fight for those who can't fight for themselves. And for the first time that night, dawn broke through the horizon, illuminating the truth that would forever connect them not just by blood, but by the unyielding need to confront darkness head-on. As they nestled together on the couch, a flickering light caught Lisa's eye, a promise lingering on the edge of reality, reminding them that battles were hard, but not worth fighting alone. The storm had passed, but vigilance was key. They could not forget. If the Lantern Man was watching, they would be ready. Love had anchored them against the horrors faced, tying their spirits together in a bond stronger than fear could ever break. As the sun rose on a new day, they knew they were safe for now. But as long as shadows lingered and stories whispered, the journey was far from over. Now is your chance to dive deeper. You need to subscribe now for more spine-chilling stories you won't wanna miss. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this shocking ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know the truth behind the Lantern Man. Your support keeps the stories coming.